Hi everyone, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a little bit of a fun project. After I made this page, I kind of got a little bit addicted to it. So I had a play one day and I made this gorgeous little butterfly. Well, not little, it's a big butterfly. I just started with watercolor. I added acrylics, paint pens, sparkles, all sorts of things, some patterns, drawing mandalas on the wings. I just really loved the process of creating my own butterfly. And so on this day, I decided that she needs a home. So it was quite a long process to get the butterfly done. I think I was busy probably like an hour 15 minutes playing with it because I just couldn't stop. It was just so much fun. And then when I did this page, it also took an hour and 15 minutes. So a really nice project. I think I did stretch it over 2 days though. I'm starting with Marlene's paint. First, I took out 2 pages from my journal and I just stuck them together with some of Marlene's washi tape and just to, keep them together so they don't shift. 1 page definitely wouldn't have been enough for this giant butterfly. I grabbed out this blending tool and I've just gone in with beautiful colors from Marlene. I used Happy was the first yellow, then I used Cheesy, that was the second yellow color. I've got Ballet, Fuchsia, and Royal. So I'm just kind of spreading the paint out all over with this blending tool, blending it together. I quite like the effect that I got from using the blending tool. I've never done adding color to the background before in this way, so I thought it worked really well. And I think I will definitely be doing that again. Just adding some more little yellow bits where I thought I didn't cover everything too well, and then I'm going to give it a dry. You'll see me bringing my butterfly back to my page every so often, just so I can check the colors and the patterns in the background, make sure that everything works together, but also that the butterfly still stands up from the page. So now I'm going to do some reductive stenciling. You see me doing this in almost every one of my videos. So I just smush some paint down with my finger, place a stencil over the top, and then I wipe the excess away through the stencil. For this page, I thought that the royal, the purple color, the line was a bit too strong. So I'm starting with my stenciling in the purple and I'm working out to the color next to it just to make that line a little less obvious. And now I'm going in with the pink. This is the neon pink that I used, and now a little bit of fuchsia. And you can see when I go over those harsh lines where the colors meet and I put the stencil down, when I lift it like now you'll see how it just blends those lines together. So really effective way to make your lines not so harsh and make your colors look like they blend together a little bit better. I am cleaning up the back or the bottom of my craft mat, the bottom of my craft mat. I am cleaning up my craft mat now and then because I've got some artwork on the other side of this paper and I was terrified that it was I'm going to get paint on my other artwork. So I do clean up here and there. And then just to add that yellow, a little bit more yellow, because I really love that yellow, I'm just doing some mark making with my paintbrush, giving it a bit of a dry, and I'm just trying out again to see if things are going to work together. And now I'm using my blending tool or blending, I don't know what it is. I think it's called a blending tool, blending brush maybe. And I'm using some white paint, Marlene's lace paint. And now I'm just going through that stencil like you would normally stencil through it, just to add some brightness to the page and again to try and hide some of those where the colors join. I thought that that looked quite nice. I also have those white mandalas on the butterfly wing, so it kind of ties the background in with the butterfly. And of course, some mark making in white to add brightness. I do love doing this. I think it looks quite magical and sparkly, especially when I go in with white mark making like this with my paintbrush. Do enjoy the look of that. Quick dry again. Lots of drying in between the layers for this page because I really didn't want to disturb the layers underneath. And now normally when I have busy backgrounds, I use only one stencil, but I really wanted to add some black edging around this page. And so I used this decor screen stencil again, and I used it with black, and I'm just doing reductive stenciling. I wanted to have a black border so it frames that butterfly a bit. I also had the idea that I wanted to do some black and white stripes. You know I love a black and white stripe. And in the wings of my butterfly, there are some black and white stripes on that yellow bits. And I wanted to tie that together as well. So I decided I would do a black and white border of some sort, but I didn't want the whole thing to be a border, you know, the whole border to be black and white stripes. So just to add a little bit of variation, I did the stenciling as well. Now I'm gluing my little butterfly down, making sure that she's really secure on that page. And then I think I'm going to start working on white splatters. Yes, I did white splatters on my butterfly wings, so I also wanted to pull that into the page. So you can see that I've kind of used the same colors on the butterfly as on the background, except the background has darker versions. So on the butterfly, when I used the watercolor paint, obviously that goes quite light when it dries. But on the background, I used the royal paint, which is a much stronger, deeper color. I wanted to make the butterfly feel like she belongs there and not like she was just stuck on the page. And I'm kind of anchoring her wings down using this star stencil. So I'm not using all of the stars. I am being quite selective about which ones I'm using. And I'm just placing that stencil kind of on the edge of the wings, just to, like I said, anchor her to the page, like she feels like she belongs there. And I thought that was quite a nice touch, even if I must say so myself. Then I'm quickly going to outline those stars. Obviously, because they are purple, they do blend in a little bit, and I wanted to make sure that they stand up from the background a bit more so you can see them. I'm just doing a little white outline quickly, and in the end, they will sparkle. I'm kind of trying to figure out what am I going to do next, and what is it that I will be doing next. All right, so I grabbed out my punk paint, which is Marlene's neon purple paint, and I'm going around the whole butterfly and making a shadow. I'm doing this with punk first, and then I will go in with my Stabilo All pencil, and then I will just darken the edges closest to the butterfly. So the punk I'm pulling out quite a bit further than the wings, and then when I go in with my Stabilo All pencil, that'll be kept a little bit closer to the wings. So it kind of gives different dimensions of shadowing around the butterfly. So now you'll see me going in with the Stabilo All pencil, and too much water there, so I quickly wiped it off, and I'm keeping that darker line much closer to the butterfly. Now that it's on screen, it kind of doesn't look like it's making much of a difference, but in real life it really does make a difference. It's such a small thing to do, but the end product really stands out. I think it's well worth taking the time to just refine the shadows, refine the highlights, that sort of thing. Oftentimes when a page won't pull together and you start adding those finer little details, that's often when things start to pull together and look like they belong together, and yeah, just makes everything make sense. I didn't like that part up there with the where I went over the yellow with the punk paint. It kind of turned brown, so I just added a little bit more stenciling, and that really helped. And now I'm going in with Marlene's diamond glitter glue, and I'm just popping some onto the stars. Of course, it got blocked, so I had to squeeze out some on the mat, and then a whole big blob came out. So that's why I'm just using my fingers. Normally I would just use it from the tube, but it does sometimes get blocked and needs a little encouragement. And more often than not, I create a whole big blob. Okay, now I'm going in and I'm going to do those black and white lines. So first I went in with Marlene's black paint pen and just drew a line underneath the stenciling that is there. And now I'm going in with my Life of Color paint pen and I'm drawing little white stripes on it. And I think that this really pulled the butterfly and the background together, because I've got those black and white stripes on the wings, and now I also have it around the edge. I thought that I needed a little bit more shadowing just here and there, so I'm not going around the whole entire butterfly, but because the border was so dark, I felt like I needed to pull that darkness again, just pulling it into the page. So a lot of times when I look at my pages, I think about, is this balanced? Is the outside looking a little bit heavier than the inside, or is one side looking a little bit heavier than the outside? And so that's why I try to pull elements from the inside out and the outside in. I also did a scribbly little doodly border around my butterfly, and I've got a quote that says, "Put your art on," with a scribbly border and some doodles. And then I wanted to add some interest in the wings, so I found some quotes. I think maybe this one says something like "dream big," and there'll be another one that's also 2 words. I can't remember. I've got things like create and dream, I think maybe make or art or something. I've just found little words that I could pop into those wings. And I thought that was just a little extra something. So if you have the page in front of you and you have a good look, there's always another extra surprise. I'm heating up the tape so I can pull it off, and then I'm going to cut through that butterfly, punch the holes back in, and pop her back into my journal. Thank you so much for watching. I will have a process video of how I make these butterflies up very soon. Leave me a comment and a like. I love hearing from you, and I'll chat to you again soon. Okay, bye.